please, after the sunnah, wait for the janaza prayer.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله. قال الله تبارك وتعالى: يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا وقودها الناس والحجارة عليها ملائكة غلاظ شداد لا يعصون الله ما أمرهم ويفعلون ما يؤمرون. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته، أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. My respected brothers and elders and sisters, I'd like to start off with a hadith today that we read in the middle of the week during the hadith session after Maghrib. The Prophet ﷺ narrated in Tirmidhi, he said, when a person's child passes away, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Most High, asks His angels, have you taken out the life of the child of my slave? They reply in the affirmative. And then He asks, have you taken the fruit of his heart? They reply in the affirmative. Thereupon He asks, what has my slave said? And in this most difficult time of his, what has he done? What has he said? They say he has praised you And he has said, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Yani that we belong to Allah and to Him is our return. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to the angels, build a house for my slave in Jannah and name it Baytul Hamd, the house of praise. In other words, even at the time of this difficulty and such a trial, he is remembering Allah, he is praising Allah, and he is hoping of reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In this time of difficulty and this praise is coming out, Allah will build for him a palace that is called the house of praise. This is from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of the points I wanted to take from this hadith, one point, is the fact that the Prophet ﷺ said, فُؤَادَ ثَمَرِهِ, or ثَمَرَةَ فُؤَادِهِ, excuse me, which means the fruit of our heart. And to point to the fact that children, our youth, are the fruits of our hearts. And as they say in this part of the world, the apples in our eyes. That every single person here loves their own kids, loves them, and wants the best for them. We want to give them the best food and the best clothing. We want to give them the best that this world has to offer. The only thing is, what I have concern for today, and the topic, is that what is left out sometimes, or that is neglected a lot of times, is their faith, their heart, the qualities that build a person, and the tarbiyah, the upbringing. Tarbiyah, upbringing, nurturing, Islamic education, manners, all of those things can be included in the tarbiyah. So the importance of tarbiyah and the maktab system. What is maktab? We'll explain that in just a minute. But the point here is that every single person wants the best for their children. And the children and our kids and our youth, they are slowly molding and shaping out their thoughts, their values, their understanding. It is all according to their environment, according to where and how they are nurtured and how they are brought up. They are the coolness of our eyes. And every person wishes that their children become the coolness of their eyes as they become older. But one of the perceptions, and I may be a little bit subjective in this, and I may be a little biased in this as well, but my point is to get the point through. And I would love some feedback later on after Isha tonight, maybe this coming week. I'm here most of the time. I want to hear what you think and what do you believe, or do you acknowledge any of these opinions or facts. So the perception that most people have is that if I educate my children in secular sciences and they acquire a degree, they earn big money, and when they earn that type of money, I will be relaxed and have an enjoyable life. A lot of times, if not most times, this is a perception. But, so what happens? The entire life focus becomes secular studies and focusing on the career, which is all good. I'm not saying none of this is negative. But so much emphasis is given on this that very little to no importance is given to the Islamic education. In most cases, however, the result is totally contrary. When the emphasis is only on material and secular studies, those children grow up, they become very good at making money. Some say money-making machines, but unfortunately those same values, the characters, those feelings, they don't end up to be the same. So sometimes they feel that they can substitute the time and service they owe to their parents with wealth. And a lot of times, parents, they grow up, they enjoy that wealth, but the company and service of our children when we need it most is sometimes lost when there is a lack of Dini Islamic education. I can actually support that with a phone call that I had last night, just from one friend who I've known since he was probably 12 years old. He was put in an Islamic education in a school, but right after taken out. And the reason the reason was, he was questioned, why did the parents take them out? There was no need. We didn't feel a need at the time. We want him to grow, we want him to get that career. Later on we will see about his education. So what happens, I asked this friend and he tells me, we have a big house, the house, we feel very alone. I said, don't you guys eat together? I said, we hardly have any dinner together, we hardly sit together. I never see my brothers, my parents, hardly. And then the other thing that he said, it kind of broke my heart. He said, he was talking about his parents, his relationship with his father, and it was very heartbreaking. I said, what happened? I said, I don't like my father, I hate him. And he says, I never had a relationship with him. I always had this ill feeling with him. And then he says, you know what? Every time he goes far away, I don't like to call him. He calls me sometimes. And he said this is what he's saying. I'm quoting his words last night. He said, yeah, he called me, but he needed some money. So I had to talk to him, I had to give him. And I was saying to myself, subhanAllah, I know his father. And I know that man to be a good man. And I know that when he was younger, he took care of his child. Why is this the case? Why is he speaking like this? But then you understand that the environment a person grows up in, the friends a person grows up to be with, is going to affect that child. The Prophet ﷺ said, كُلُّ مَوْلُودٍ يُولَدُ عَلَى فِطْرَةٍ. Every child is born on the fitrah of Islam. It is his parents that turn him either to the religion of Christianity or Judaism or whatever belief that they have. And however they instill in him what they instill and nurture him, this is how he will grow to be. And this is why, my respected brothers and sisters, I bring this point. That why this maktab and Islamic education system is so important. So the next question comes, what is this maktab exactly that you talk about? So just to emphasize, the maktab, also known as Khutbah in some places, are institutes of daily Quranic Islamic education for Muslim children and for youth, a lifeline to the preservation, protection of our faith. They provide a deep-rooted consciousness of distinguishing between right and wrong and between the permissible and forbidden. It gives then a sense of belonging to a wider brotherhood of the Ummah. It forges a distinct Muslim identity. It helps insulate our children from the hypocrisy and disbelief. This is the maqsad and the purpose of our after-school classes here. Whether it's here, whether it's in any masjid, the maktab is the Quran classes, the Islamic education classes that are offered in almost every masajid. And the stronger, we've seen through experience that the stronger that system is, the stronger the school is, the stronger the community and the attendance of the people of that community is as well. Look in any masjid in the United States. Look at the congregation and look at their school and look at the importance they give, especially to the daily system. When I say maktab, I mean the daily school, the daily after-school Islamic activities and the Islamic education that is given. And I repeat this because this is something that is direly needed, especially in our community. A lot of people think that we send the students to the Quran classes, all of their entire focus is going to be on the Quran, on tajweed, and on the qaida. This is totally not the case. We do not want that, especially when we're teaching. That is not our purpose. Our purpose is to focus on their faith, on their iman, building their character, their understanding, and their faith. This is the most important part. Because if there's no faith, if the faith becomes weak, then the Quran recitation is already going to not exist. Many places there have been children who grew up in a school and they went to the sometimes daily school, Islamic schools, or the afterward schools. They've memorized the Quran, but the environment was not made. And as they grew older, they were taken out. And then what happens when you go to a different environment where there's no Quran, where there's talk about everything other than God, where religion is mocked, where there is no Islam, then obviously it's very difficult for anyone to keep up without an environment. And a lot of times those children, they forget their Quran. How many cases have there been until Islamic schools have changed their rules not to have the kids memorize out of the fear that they're going to forget by the time they become 15 or 16 years old. And so this is another point I want to make, brothers and sisters. This maktab system, this after-school Quran classes, this is not meant for the young children.